Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Thursday evening, July 18, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems, so we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak of Atlantic hurricane season, thus August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the days been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at what is usually expected during this time period, considering that today is July 18. This is a map showing where we've had storm systems forming, tropical storms that is, between July 11 to July 20. Keep in mind that this is as of records from 1850 to 2009. And we can see numerous red dots that represent the tropical storm formation zones, especially across the western portion of the main development region right here. And we know the usual tracks for these systems, pushing westward across the Caribbean, pushing northward across the western Caribbean, and then into portions of the Gulf of Mexico, or missing most of the Caribbean in general, or clipping the Leeward Islands, then going into portions of the eastern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, also affecting portions of the eastern United States. But there's nothing out there right now, especially considering that the tropical storm activity doesn't usually ramp up until we get into August, September, and October. That's where we see the peak for tropical storm and hurricane activities. However, we still have a lot of warm water across the basin. Right here, the main development region is definitely way above averages of these yellows and oranges. This is as of the latest update from July 17. And we can also see the eastern to the central Pacific cooling off, making way for that La Nina to come in. We know El Nino is when we have the warmer than average sea surface temperatures. The El Nino causes more thunderstorms to be forming across the eastern Pacific, the central Pacific, and then this causes more wind shear into portions of the Caribbean, destroying the tops of these thunderstorms and preventing hurricanes and storms from forming. But now we're actually in a neutral condition according to the NOAA. We're not yet in La Nina. La Nina is when we have most of this area in blues than anything else, but it is getting there. And considering that we're only in neutral conditions and we've had Beryl, it's safe to say that the atmosphere has already, responded to the lack of El Nino, considering that Beryl was able to get up to category 5 strength, so there was little to no wind shear to stop her. So the La Nina is going to be making the conditions even more conducive across the Atlantic, so we better be prepared either way. We better pray that most of these systems turn out to sea. If we take a look at the Atlantic discussion from the Hurricane Center, they only have two tropical waves highlighted, one across the Atlantic and another one across the Caribbean Sea, and we can see all of that on the surface map. But before we even get to the surface map, we see that there's still nothing highlighted on the 7-day outlook for the next 7 days. So yes, we have some tropical waves, one right here across the Caribbean, that's now to the west of Jamaica. Another one right here across the waters of the western portion of the main development region. And we can see all of that even better on the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down. The clouds definitely brought some thunderstorms to sections of southeastern Jamaica and western Jamaica today. And we can also see the clouds associated with that other tropical wave. Doesn't have much in the way of convection, but it is definitely there, doing a number on portions of the eastern Caribbean islands. So before we even jump into what was predicted yesterday, because we love to, show the accuracy of these forecasts, it's very important that these forecasts are very accurate, and I like to point these out. So before we even get into that about Jamaica, we need to highlight this post from Ben Noel. He's actually a meteorologist at the National Institute of Water and Atmospheric Research. And from time to time, he makes some posts that are very accurate about the hurricane season. As a matter of fact, he posted a map like this in May about how we would have more rising air in the greens across the Atlantic, and that was what caused Beryl to form. Now he just made a post at 8:21 a.m. today, and he stated the latest weekly guidance suggests that convective forcing, upward motion, thunderstorms forming, tropical waves becoming tropical storms in the green will redevelop over the Atlantic during the first half of August. When this happens, hurricane season will likely awaken from its current slumber. So definitely the hurricane season is sleeping, especially considering that this has been the case on the National Hurricane Center's page for a good 3 weeks now, if I'm not mistaken. No tropical cyclone activity expected within the next 7 days. That has been the case for a good time now. However, if we go back to Ben No's post, this is what he's showing. We can actually see the greens across the Caribbean into the main development region, and let us take this time to time. So first we're going to be looking at July 19 right here to July 26. And what do we see? We see more oranges than anything else. That represents sinking air by what we can see here on the key on the bottom right. So we're getting in a lot of sinking air. To no thunderstorm activity. If we get rain during this time period from July 19, considering that today is July 18, if you get rain between July 19, so from tomorrow Friday to the other week Friday, it's going to be a blessing if we get rain, because there's a lot of sinking air, especially with the wind shear and the Saharan dust that is squashing all of these thunderstorms. So if we actually get rain within this time period, we're lucky, we're blessed. If we move out in time, we start to see some of the sinking air die down, pushing more towards the Africa area right there, the Eastern Main Development Region, and that's valid for July 26 to August 8. Then when we put this into motion now, we start to see some more greens, some more blues in there, starting to take shape that indicate rising air. That's where we have more thunderstorms forming, and we see that across South America, the Eastern Pacific, the main development region, the Atlantic in general, and this is valid for August 2 to August 9. And then finally, look at this, August 9 to August 17, it's even more robust with the rising air. So that's when we're 100% sure that there's gonna be a lot more rising air, tropical waves looking robust, becoming tropical storms. The GFS and the Euro models being shown everywhere, highlighting possible development here, there, and over there. And the Hurricane Center might even put some code yellows, some code oranges into play. So enjoy the slumber while it lasts. However, if we take a look at what was predicted in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Thursday, July 18, it was stated that we would have received some rainfall across sections of some eastern, western, and central parishes, and especially northern parishes, especially during the afternoon on Thursday. And we know eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey. So Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex. So St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Anne, St. Mary. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall. So St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney. And we know northern parishes, we're talking about those parishes on top, like Portland, St. Mary, St. Catherine, Trelawney, St. James, and Hanover. And what ended up happening? As early as 6:31 a.m., a post was made here on our Twitter page. By the way, this post wasn't only made here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, but on our Instagram page at Weather.Jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there, as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So we can see the visible satellite image that was posted, and it highlighted some clouds coming in from the east. We definitely saw the line of clouds this morning, especially towards south, if you're on the south coast, and we saw some of these clouds coming into sections of Portland, St. Mary, sections of St. Anne, Trelawney, gotten on some isolated shores, maybe even some clap of thunders in there. Then, as we skipped ahead, this is about as of 10:05 a.m. As a matter of fact, I think it was an hour before that, but the Twitter app was delaying a bit. We did indeed have some thunderstorms taking place across section of St. Thomas. I was in Kingston where it was very sunny, and my father called me from St. Thomas telling me that it was pouring rain in St. Thomas, prohibiting him from doing his outdoor job. So it was definitely predicted for the morning if you remember yesterday's video across section of eastern Jamaica, and that was definitely what took place in my area. Then by afternoon we started to see those thunderstorms lighting up the place across various sections of some western parishes. So this is as of 2:45 p.m. and inland areas of some central parishes. So some thunderstorms definitely lashed section of Trelawney, St. James, section of St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, and inland areas of some central parishes. So sections of Trelawney, maybe northern Clarendon, northern St. Catharines, southwestern St. Mary might have gone in on the mix. And we definitely have some confirmation from some of our followers about this. We have Kevin Samuels posting 2 hours ago raining in Granville, St. James. Even on our Instagram page, we have Jamaica_Diane. Big rains in Orange Bay, Hanover 4 hours ago. And we had TG Minidal 2 hours ago posting raining in Montego Bay. And this map from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology confirms where the rainfall was today. Definitely across sections of some northern and western parishes, especially inland areas of some central parishes, and even sections of St. Thomas, just like it stated in the morning. But for the most part, halfway tree cam at about 3:21 p.m. today didn't show much. More than likely they were receiving the overcast skies associated with the thunderstorms that western Jamaica was receiving at the time, which explains the lack of sunshine at this time period. But if we take a look at the live view of See Jamaica's YouTube channel, we can see the sunset. I don't think this is the live view at all. Let's go live. Alright, so the sun has definitely gone down by now. More lights across the place. This is as of 7:18. Now we definitely saw the sunset a while ago, so not much taking place right now. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can definitely see the flow of low-level clouds from east to west. Then the upper-level thunderstorms being blown off towards the east when we had the convection taking place. And we can see the convection even better on the infrared satellite images. As a matter of fact, let's reload these images so that we can see. We can definitely see what took place. We had most of the thunderstorms definitely across sections of northern St. Elizabeth, section of Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James. Trelawney got in on the mix, and inland areas, so section of southern St. and northern Clarendon, section of northern St. Catherine, maybe southwestern St. Mary might have gotten on some of that. And we definitely saw the overcast skies that pushed out towards the east, which explains the overcast skies across sections, well, the clouds that pushed out to the east, which explains the overcast skies across Kingston that we just saw across the halfway tree, on the halfway tree cam. So definitely some thunderstorm activity across western Jamaica, just as predicted, more so northern Jamaica than anything else. Trelawney, St. James, and unfortunately the Cuban Doppler radar images are still down. This is still showing July 17 as of 3:40 p.m. That's 2:40 p.m. Jamaica time. So we have to be dependent on the Guantanamo Bay Cuban military, US military radar, which usually only shows Portland, and we also have to be dependent on the Cayman radar, which shows western Jamaica. We can see the rainfall that was wrapped up across western Jamaica. We saw those greens and blues that represent some light to moderate rainfall, as you can see by the key on the right. But most of that was dwindling down by the time the sun was going down. And we can see most of the rainfall that we had pushing from east to west to the south of the Cayman Islands. If we take a look at the temperatures right now, we can see about 28 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 29 degrees Celsius in Kingston. And by about 4 a.m. on Friday, temperature should dip down to about 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Alright, so let us take a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow. This map from the GFS is showing 18Z on Friday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Friday. And what do we see right here around and in Jamaica? Some yellows and some gold colors that we can see here that represents 1 to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. And we know the normal temperatures for the month of July across Jamaica are about 91 degrees Fahrenheit. And when we actually calculate that, 91 degrees Fahrenheit is about the same as 32.7 degrees Celsius. So it should be receiving anywhere from 32 to 34 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Friday. So please ensure that you stay out of the sun and you actually stay hydrated. If we take a look at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Friday, we can definitely see that all of the dust, all that vigorous plume in the darker browns, has finally made it to Jamaica. By the time we get to 2 p.m. on Friday, Jamaica right here. So there's gonna be some amount of hazy skies. Maybe some person's respiratory illnesses might be acted upon, or maybe asthma, sinusitis, whatever the case may be. Please ensure that you have your meds ready just in case. As relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, no big change. Still expecting 1 to 1.5 meter wave heights across the Caribbean in general, because the winds are going to be averaging anywhere from 10 to 20 knots, maybe even gusting 25 knots in some spots. Winds still coming out of the east, and we can see that the air is going to be piling up again, where across sections of some central and western parishes in Jamaica, where we have the darker blues. So that's where the cumulus clouds might become medium level rain clouds, if not upper level cumulonimbus clouds. And with the upper level winds coming in from the west southwest tomorrow, we can see that flow. It could favor more of the rainfall on the north side of the island than anything else. So western Jamaica highlighted for the cloud cover. So northwestern Jamaica especially to get in on more of that rainfall. So basically the same spots that got rainfall today gonna be getting rainfall again. And we know we're talking about Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, maybe even spilling into St. Anne and some western parishes. So sections of Westmoreland, maybe even northern St. Elizabeth might get in on the mix. However, we might get some early morning rainfall in the east. We see the flow of winds from the east. You know, wind direction has a lot to do with weather. So some of the rainfall off of the sea could come into sections of St. Thomas and Portland, because this is valid for 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 4 a.m. Jamaica time. And what do we see here on the Euro Blues? They represent rainfall across St. Thomas and Portland. And we see that on the GFS model as well. And we know that when both of them are in agreement, the chances are higher for it to be happening. And then during the afternoon now, this is valid for 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 2 p.m. Jamaica time. And where do we see the consensus for the blues that represent rainfall? We see it across sections of some western parishes, more so northwestern parishes than anything else. So Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, maybe even spilling into St. Anne, northwestern Manchester, northern St. Elizabeth, section of Westmoreland. We see the Euro showing something similar, but the Euro is trying to incorporate more of St. Catherine and Clarendon and northwestern St. Andrew. We'll see exactly what unfolds. Right now we're working with what both of them are showing, because when both of them are showing something similar, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. And we see that the accumulated precipitation forecast maps are in consensus that there's going to be some amount of rainfall within the next 24 hours across the island. The GFS showing a bit more rainfall across the northwestern portion of the island than what the Euro is showing. Euro is showing more of the rainfall across the east. That could be for the morning time, up to 0.41 of an inch of rainfall being recorded there. GFS showing up to 0.23 of an inch of rainfall. But we see the GFS showing up to 0.4 of an inch of rainfall for the northwest. Euro is not that impressed with the northwest. Either way, we know morning rainfall for the east, afternoon rainfall for the northwest, and that's more so early morning rainfall than anything else. So it could be starting as early as 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3, 4 a.m., 5 a.m. for the east. Then the afternoon, anywhere from after 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Look out for that rainfall across Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney. And we're indeed grateful. We're in the month of July. Clearly we can see Kingston bar graph at the top, Montego Bay's bar graph at the bottom, and there's usually a dip in the amount of rainfall that we experience during the month of July compared to the other months surrounding July. June has more rainfall, August has more rainfall on both maps. Kingston's bar graph is in millimeters. We usually receive up to 50 millimeters of rainfall during the month of July. Montego Bay's bar graph is on the bottom. We usually receive up to 3.1 or 3.2 inches of rainfall in Montego Bay during this month. You can do the math. Here we have a graphic showing millimeters to inches. 1 inch of rainfall is up to 25 millimeters of rainfall, so you can definitely do the math yourself. And you can also visit weatherandclimate.com to find out about the annual rainfall in your specific parish. Alright, so that is it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So we can see that yes, we have a lot of clouds bring some thunderstorms as usual across northern South America, section of Cuba, Hispaniola might have gotten some thunderstorms today. And we see the clouds associated with the tropical wave being a number and portion of the eastern Caribbean. Some of these clouds associated with the other tropical wave about to lash portions of Central America already starting across Honduras and Nicaragua. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, we can see the rainfall that is now affecting portions of northern and eastern Puerto Rico, the eastern portion of the Dominican Republic, the Leeward Islands, Antigua and Barbuda definitely getting in on some rainfall as we speak. As of 7:20 p.m. Central Daylight Time, you can also see some rainfall in and around Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique right there. As a matter of fact, if we put these Doppler radar images into motion from about 1:35 p.m. today, we can definitely see that there was a lot of hit or miss isolated showers plaguing the entire northeastern Caribbean region. Even some thunderstorms right there across northwestern Puerto Rico. If we take a look at the Barbados radar, we can see some sprinkles coming in from the east, could affect portion of the island tonight. We can also see some rainfall right there into portion of Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, section of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada getting on some amount of rainfall as we speak. We can also see a lot of rainfall right there to the east of Tobago. Some of this could even make it as far as Trinidad later on tonight into tomorrow. If we take a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see that rainfall that portion of central Cuba had today, section of Florida got some rainfall today, section of the Yucatan Peninsula, Guatemala, Honduras got in on some rainfall as well. We can also see some rainfall across sections of Colombia. However, if we take a look at what's expected within the next 24 hours, we can see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus that there's going to be some amount of rainfall in these spots, so sections of Cuba, the Bahamas, Florida, the Bahamas, section of Cuba, yes, to be getting some more rainfall. Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, section of Puerto Rico getting in on the mix. The eastern Caribbean islands should be getting on some more rainfall. Look at that, even some reds in there that represents up to 1 inch of rainfall for sections of Guadeloupe, Dominica, sections of Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, the Grenadine Islands getting in on the mix, Barbados, Grenada, section of Trinidad and Tobago, section of eastern Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana. We can also see some rainfall for section of western Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, Belize, the Yucatan Peninsula, Guatemala, El Salvador, and we can also see some isolated shores for section of the Cayman Islands. And we know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus like this with the rainfall forecast, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.